All right, time now to talk to our moms from Metro Detroit and some hot topics that have parents and really everybody buzzing this week. Joining us today include Erin Rawlings, a mother of two, also a blogger and a freelance writer. Her blog, if you want to check her out, is called Mommy on the Spot. She always has some really creative viewpoints, I should say. Stacey Patak, she's a stay-at-home mom and a mother of triplets who just sent them off to kindergarten. Oh, I've been following you and your comments too. And Lisa LaGrou, the founder of OaklandCountyMoms.com. If you're looking for another blog to follow her. She also has some great insight. She's a mom of two, and when we were kind of going through topics, this is a topic we just cannot not avoid, and it's all the NFL drama, because I think it's something that is addressed for professional athletes, but it goes down to how you raise your children. And as we know, the Vikings officially placed Adrian Peterson on the exempt list, meaning he cannot participate in any team activities. This while he's investigated for child abuse accusations after his son had injuries from being spanked with a switch. Now, we could kind of debate on, I guess the biggest question is the way you raise your children. And a lot of it is cultural. A lot of it, sometimes people say in the South, that is more appropriate. What are your thoughts on this in general? And then how you could be perhaps treated in your profession as a result of how you're raising your child?
In general, I do not believe in corporal punishment whatsoever. I feel that using, especially if you're doing it out of rage, like when your child does something and you smack them because you're angry and frustrated, I feel like you need to work out your frustration in a different way, because then you're teaching violence, and then that cycle continues. And I feel like there are so many ways to address bad behavior rather than violence, because violence is about power, and I just feel like...
What do you say, and I'll throw this to you, Stacey, and what do you say when some parents say, well, that was how I was raised, and it was effective, and you have to grant whatever their circumstances were, and it worked for me?
I mean, myself and many of the people I know, when we grew up, we were spanked. We were, might have been hit with the belt a time or two. And at the time, it just seemed normal to me. And I'll be honest, I've spanked my kids before. And when I do it, I don't like it. I don't do it out of rage. It's more of I give myself a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spank and then walk away. And it is effective. Do I like doing it? No, I don't. And I don't do it very often. But it was funny on the way here, I was thinking, you know, if I'm at work and I'm not doing the right thing, is my boss going to come over and spank me? It's like, is that really the way that we want? I mean, that person would get arrested for, you know, I mean, I think it's the viewpoint of you know, what works in your particular situation or what you believe in and what your household is. But when you put it in a different context about how you would be treated if you know, quote unquote, did something wrong, you know, someone's not going to come over and spank you or hit you.
What do you think about this too, Lisa, affecting your job? Because this is different.
You know, I think it can affect. Well, with the NFL, it's more than an employer; it's a brand.
Right.
And they want to stand up and say, we don't want to have anything to do with something like this. So I think it'd be great if they could, you know, take a stand against it. You know, but I agree with Stacey. Like, as growing up, I was raised differently, but as we get into different generations, things change. You find better ways to do something. You can't just do something the way you used to do it all the time, or we'd never ever evolve.
Okay, next hot topic in Washington today. There is a fight over school lunches. Army and Navy top officials say that obesity amongst kids has become such a national security concern because many kids are unhealthy, and they apparently are finding out that when they actually want to perhaps enter the military, they're not even up to military standards. And they're addressing it with schools. They're saying, you know, the schools are just not doing enough. The parents aren't doing enough. Now, we did say there's new standards for school lunches, and we've reported that that was supposed to be a healthy thing. But then at the same time, schools complained and said, well, we're doing this. It's costing us too much money, and the kids aren't eating it. So let's start with you, Lisa.
Well,
what do you do? This is a lot to try to solve.
Yeah, I think what's funny, though, is you can't just take the occasional hot lunch that a child is eating and count that as the big problem when it's such a fraction of the whole entire problem. So it's a tough thing to control. And I commend the schools for doing what they're doing. I know at our school you have to pick up 1 fruit and 1 vegetable.
You have to?
Yeah, you have to with your hot lunch.
Oh, okay.
In order to get it.
I'm new to this. My kids are just full-time in kindergarten, and this is their first year they're able to get hot lunch. And I mean, I was okay with what the menu was. They had their first hot lunch last week, and it was, you know, a meat, a bread, a vegetable, and a milk and fruit. And it's just, and like you said, the monetary cost, the schools are having trouble anyway, and I feel like this was such an extreme to go and change these hot lunches. It's just such a minuscule amount of food the kids are eating, and I really think it's more the parents.
I totally agree that this should be happening in the schools. Maybe we're in a financial situation where our child occasionally eats hot lunch, but if this is someone's meal, they're counting on it, then I think it should be healthy. And you know, if the government allowed us to have things like MSG in our food, and now they're trying to fix this situation, because it said that they didn't like the meals because they were bland, and well, it takes time to retrain your palate to eat a better way.
But you do admit, I remember when I was a kid, I had that apple and I always threw it away. And I always wanted someone's Twinkie. So it's hard. It's hard. You give it to them. It's almost teaching them back at home that you have to like that.
Because school is just one small part of their life.
If they're not getting that at home, then they have to get it somewhere situational.
Okay, last topic. We're talking about iPads. Steve Jobs, did he do it wrong? In a 2010 interview, he said he hadn't allowed his kids to play the iPad because he limits their tech time and didn't want them to use the new technology. So that leads us to our question for our moms. Do you think iPads have been good or bad for children in terms of technological advancements? And then what about education, Stacey?
I think, you know, in the sense of technological advancements in education, number one, with the iPads and everything, it's all in moderation. Like I said, my kids are younger.
Do you do a time?
We did, honestly, we went overboard and we let them use the little iPhones. We don't have iPads in the house, but we have the little the old iPhones. They could go and, you know, look at little videos and stuff, and we did that too much. So now I actually put the kibosh on, and my husband and I agreed. We put the kibosh. They get to use it at Graham's house. Graham has a little iPad. They can play a few games at Graham's, or, you know, watch they have books on there and everything.
And so Lisa, I know we were talking about this for a story. You do limit it. You're pretty strict.
Absolutely, and it's media free all day long, like nothing at all until after dinner, and then even after dinner, it's limited to the amount of usage.
It could also be an incentive.
And is it different for ages? Do you have a different time for a different age?
No, actually, I think like. I like the under 2 rule, you know, because I think the kids are developing their social skills at such a young age. I think that you should always keep it very limited, especially, you know, when you hear about iPads being in a kindergarten classroom. I think it's completely unnecessary. When are they going to learn to say, hey, can you pass me that blue crayon, or can I borrow a pair of scissors, if they're all sitting there with their faces and an iPad? I mean, this is their social time and development that they need.
Well, I teach, you know, a social media strategy class. So I think that limiting the time is a good idea, because this isn't going away.
No, it's going to be in our world, and they do need to know how to use it.
Yes, and like we were just at curriculum night, and my daughter's teacher said, you know, they spend time on, you know, with technology, but every day during their morning meeting, we make sure that we shake hands and make eye contact. And so I think that whether it's at home or whether it's at school, I think there's a healthy balance. And if you, like, you know, have a tight rein on it, then they're going to go to a friend's house and just, you know, binge.
Right. That makes sense.
All in moderation.
Erin, Stacey, Lisa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys are doing okay with the kids and everything back to school? Good.
Jacob's busy.
That'll be a whole other topic, right? All right, we'll send it over to you, Guy.